Hello, folks. Welcome to my channel, Rico's Paradigm. Today, I want to talk about the importance of shedding the Western mindset while living here in the Philippines. Particularly for expats from Western countries, adjusting to life in the Philippines necessitates learning about and adjusting to local customs and social mores. Moving away from a purely Western perspective can have a number of advantages, including improving your experience in this dynamic country and, most importantly, lowering the likelihood that you may face serious legal repercussions like being placed on a blacklist. A smoother integration process that respects Filipino norms and laws is achieved by embracing local customs, values, and communication styles. It also fosters meaningful relationships and helps in navigating social complexities. Gaining an understanding of and adjusting to the local culture is crucial for anyone wishing to live permanently in the Philippines. Giving up the Western mindset, which can mean a variety of things but generally refers to attitudes, values, and ways of thinking typically associated with Western nations like the United States, Canada, and portions of Europe, is one of the biggest adjustments. Although these methods of thinking are effective in Western settings, they can lead to conflicts or miscommunication in the Philippines, which could result in social and legal problems. Furthermore, being aware of the local way of life not only facilitates seamless integration but also considerably lowers the likelihood of being blacklisted, a formal legal action that prevents an expat from entering the country again. Here's a thorough breakdown of how letting go of the Western ideals can help expats living in the Philippines for an extended period of time and lower their risk of being placed on a blacklist. The first and possibly most important advantage of eschewing a Western way of thinking is the capacity for cultural sensitivity and adaptation. The social norms, customs, and values of the Philippines are unique. Individualism is not highly valued by Filipinos. Instead, relationships, family, and respect for elders are highly valued. In Western cultures, assertiveness and individual rights may be prioritized, but in the Philippines, interpersonal harmony and social cohesion take precedence. Embracing and comprehending this cultural difference facilitates improved interactions with locals, including neighbors, co-workers, and public servants. Westerners who cling to the idea that this is how it's done in my country can cause a rift that frequently results in tension or isolation within the community. For instance, a Westerner may be inclined to openly or assertively complain about subpar service in administrative or public offices, believing that this is the best way to receive better treatment. This might be viewed as impolite or disrespectful in the Philippines. In settling disputes, Filipinos are more likely to value tolerance, modesty, and diplomacy. Learning to adapt to these values will create a more harmonious experience, allowing for better social interactions and avoiding misunderstandings that could escalate into legal problems. Western legal systems, particularly those in the United States and Europe, place a strong emphasis on a person's freedom to question the law and authorities. But there can be big differences in how authority, bureaucracy, and laws are viewed in the Philippines. Subjectivity in the application of the law may exist, and the legal system may not be as objective as it seems. Western expats who are used to strictly adhering to the rules may become irate when they come across what they see as corruption or inefficiencies, but it can be far more beneficial to learn how to work within the system with patience and humility rather than approaching these problems head on. A government official may face legal repercussions if they perceive loud complaints about corruption or inefficiency as disrespecting the nation. This is especially the case if the government official feels personally offended. Expats can avoid conflicts that could escalate into situations where they could be blacklisted by letting go of a Western mindset that demands perfect governance and learning to work with the system instead of against it. Moving to a developing nation like the Philippines may unintentionally carry a sense of superiority for some Westerners. They might believe that Western educational standards, work ethics, and local systems are superior. This attitude can show up in their regular interactions with the locals, which frequently leads to conflicts. Filipinos have a great sense of pride in their heritage, accomplishments, and culture. Making constant disparaging comparisons to Western countries could be interpreted as disrespectful or condescending. Westerners are more receptive to appreciating the Filipino way of life, which includes various but equally valid methods to work, social interaction, and governance, when they let go of the idea that their way is the right way. Building goodwill among locals can be greatly aided by keeping an open mind and respecting customs. Additionally, avoiding giving off the idea that you are better than others aid in lower intentions that can result in complaints or reports to immigration authorities, which is one way that blacklisting occurs. Individualism and self expression are valued in Western nations. On the other hand, preserving harmonious relationships or pakikisama is highly valued in Filipino society. This indicates that avoiding conflict, shame, and public criticism is highly valued in the culture. Direct communication may be encountered by a Western mindset despite potential discomfort. On the other hand, being extremely direct may be regarded as impolite in the Philippines. A common instance would be in the workplace, where it could become contentious to criticize a coworker directly. Instead, Filipinos prefer more indirect or diplomatic approaches to problem solving, where the focus is on preserving relationships rather than simply being right. It is possible to drastically cut down on miscommunication by adopting the Filipino preference for diplomacy and letting go of the Western mindset of directness. It fosters a climate of trust by strengthening social bonds. The likelihood of encountering problems with locals that could result in complaints to immigration authorities or even legal action, which could lead to blacklisting, is significantly lower for expats who successfully integrate into the community. Expats from the West frequently expect effective bureaucratic systems. Public offices and services might not run as quickly or precisely in the Philippines as they would in a Western nation. It's critical to change expectations and adopt a more flexible mindset rather than whining or getting angry. For example, it's possible that procedures for business registration, work permits, and visas will take longer than expected. Developing a patient approach instead of becoming frustrated will facilitate better communication with government representatives. When a expat complains or acts impatiently, it could raise suspicions and result in issues with their immigration status. Expats can steer clear of unneeded confrontations or legal problems by acclimating to the slower pace of life, realizing that procedures might take some time, and being ready to deal with bureaucracy in a cool, collected manner. Personal freedom is highly valued in Western cultures, and this can occasionally result in a defiant attitude towards laws that are thought to be unjustified. Even though they seem archaic or nonsensical to someone from the West, local laws, customs, and regulations must be respected in the Philippines. For instance, visitors from other countries should be aware of the dress codes, social norms, and alcohol consumption of the area. Disrespect for government officials, breaking moral laws, and causing public disturbances can all result in deportation or blacklisting. To avoid such pitfalls, it is essential to let go of the belief that one's personal freedoms supersede local customs and to learn to respect the local legal system. Hierarchical relationships are crucial in both personal and professional interactions in the Philippines. This contrasts with the more egalitarian policies found in many Western nations, where people may feel more at ease questioning authority because power gaps are reduced. Expats who understand and respect the power dynamics in the Philippines are more likely to avoid conflicts with local authorities and influential figures. Legal action or blacklistings can easily result from insulting someone in a position of authority or from misinterpreting the power dynamics in the area. Long term residence in the Philippines necessitates a mental shift in addition to a physical relocation. Giving up the Western way of thinking, which emphasizes individualism, assertiveness, and occasionally superiority, makes it easier for expats to integrate into Filipino culture, which places a high value on community, harmony, and respect. Expats can foster better relationships and avoid the pitfalls that could result in blacklisting or other legal challenges by adjusting to local customs, respecting the law, and learning to navigate the social and bureaucratic structures with patience. All right, folks, that is all for today's show. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a good day.